Hey, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. In this video, we will be discussing tips for people who are traveling internationally for the first time. So first time international travel, this video is for you. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips, just some things that you should know before you plan that awesome vacation that you're going to go on. So if you want to know more, keep watching. So usually in my videos, I'm really good about kind of knowing what I'm going to say and memorizing stuff. But these tips, I really wanted to make sure I said what I meant. So I do have some notes here. So if you see me looking down, looking back up, that's because I'm referring to my notes. I want to make sure I give y'all all the information, okay? So the first tip that I have is do your research. So if you're going on an international trip, you have to be mindful that you're going to another country where they have different procedures, customs, laws, and rules, and different systems of doing things. So it's really important that you do your research before you go. Hogwarts, so I know, I love the shirt. But it's really important you do your research before you go. Another thing about traveling is you might be planning on going to popular tourist locations. You need to find out the information about that. How do you buy the tickets? Can you buy the tickets there? Are tickets not sold at the location and you have to buy it in advance? Only do third-party vendors sell the tickets? And all these things you're going to want to know and have. Even if you don't have a plan or buy the tickets even before you get there, you just want to know. That way your options won't be limited and you won't have too many unexpected costs. Like I said, you can't plan for everything, but you won't have too many things that are unexpected. In terms of traveling and getting around, sometimes it's easy to use the public transportation system. Other times it's better to use cabs. All this information, you won't know about that specific place unless you Google it. It's very easy to just take some time out, research before your trip. Usually the best time to buy an airline ticket is 54 days out, the Tuesday before your trip. So if you're buying it that far out, you can do like 30 minutes of research every week, and by the time your trip comes, you'll have a really good idea of what you want to do and where you want to go. So where should you be researching? Like I said, you want to look for reputable sites that kind of have a lot of information. If you go on the site and it looks janky, then it's probably not real. It might be a lot of information from blogs, because that's really helpful. People who actually traveled there and can tell you about the place. The most helpful posts that I've read and information that I've gotten in terms of trip research has been backpackers guides. Now, you might not necessarily be a quote-unquote backpacker, but the reason why I think backpacker guides are the most helpful is because they try to do a lot of activities for, one, an affordable price, and two, in a limited amount of time. A lot of backpackers, they're traveling multiple places over the course of months, and they only spend a week here, a week there, or if they do spend 2 weeks, a lot of times they'll tell you you only needed to spend a week or you only need to spend 3 days. And backpackers are really honest and they give the best advice. I've never read a backpack guide and they told me something and I'm like, oh wow, that was a total lie. It wasn't true when I went there and experienced it. They're usually really spot on, and they give you real helpful tips, and they explain things from that certain perspective that might be helpful. So I know I look at a lot of backpackers who are younger and kind of want to, not necessarily like party hard, but they're looking to go out, have fun, and they'll tell you straight up, this is a family place. If you come with your alcohol ready to party, people will look at you crazy. And I'm glad that they give me those insights, because then now I won't be the person that comes with the ready to party and it's like a family place, and you want to just avoid those things, and you can only avoid those situations if you do your research. So make sure you are Googling, make sure you are looking up different things. Also check the state department's website. They'll give a lot of tips in terms of if there's like a natural disaster or something that's happening in the country, or if there's like certain regions that maybe you shouldn't visit. In terms of getting that information, it'll be on there. So definitely you need to be on the internet, you need to be researching, so that way you can start to make a plan for your trip and what you want to do. Okay, second tip is exchange your money at your bank. So yes, when you go to said place internationally, at the airport, they are going to have currency exchange places. Yes, they will have them. The issue is that these places charge fees because it's like their business. So in addition to you losing some money because of the exchange rate, depending on the country, or maybe gaining some money, that's also an option. But you know, if you do end up losing money, and then also there's a fee on top of that, now you're gonna have less money than you really expected to have, and that's not really how you want to start your vacation. So most banks in the United States, you can contact them in advance of your trip. Just go up into the bank and go to the teller. Tell them the country you're going to. Tell them how much money you want to take from your checking account or savings account and have it exchanged to that currency. And then you'll be able to come and pick it up on a certain day. Or they'll send you a text or an email notification saying that your money's ready and you could come get it. Now, with certain places, it might be a little harder because the banks don't have every country's currency and they don't have access to every country's currency. But usually when you go to order it, they can tell you automatically, yes, we could do it, or no, we can't do it. So for one example is I went to Cuba. Cuba was an amazing trip, but unfortunately the banks here in the U.S. are not allowed to give out Cuban currency from what I understand. So you can't, if you go to the bank, they're not going to be able to give it to you. So there are some cases like that, but for the most part, if you're going to Europe, you can get euros from the bank, you can get Mexican pesos from the bank, yen, all kinds of different types of money you are able to get from the bank. So check with them first. Every bank might not have every currency, like I said, but you definitely have to check that out. My second tip in terms of money is if you can't get your currency from your own bank, then I would say get your American money changed into euros. So like the example I used previously with Cuba, I got the money, my US dollars changed into euros, and then when I got to Cuba, I was able to get Cuban money. I think it's called is it the Cuban peso? I'm not sure, but I got the Cuban money, and I ended up being really great and working out for me because there is an extra fee for if you have American dollars in terms of when you do your transaction compared to any other currency. So I would definitely get euros. Overall, euro is usually a little stronger than the dollar. If the dollar is stronger, then maybe get the dollar. But definitely just try and do a little bit of research about that before you leave. Every penny counts, and you don't want to just blindly exchange money and then realize you lost like $60 in exchange fees, and that could have all been going towards your vacation fund. So that's definitely something to think about. The next tip I would say when you're traveling internationally is try and pack everything you need. That sounds like so basic, but it's really important when you go on an international trip. If you have a certain toothpaste, soap, body wash, lotion, medicine that you use, even if it's like Pepto-Bismol for your stomach or Imodium just in case you eat some bad street food, bring all that stuff with you, because when you go to other countries, the medicine is going to be in their language. So if you know their language enough to feel comfortable with, I can take this stomach medicine that has Italian directions because I know Italian that well, then you'll be fine. But if you don't know the language, then you're going to be really confused and not know how to take the medicines or use the products or understand what's in them. Another reason why I say really bring what you need is because I know in terms of skincare products, I love to think that I'm going to go someplace else and get the skincare products, and then when I go to the store and see them, they have bleach in them. And it's a lot of brighteners and lightener and whitener, and then you see on the little lotion ad, even though it's sunscreen for your face, they show the woman who is like a olive color, and at the end of using this sunscreen, now her skin is like alabaster white. So you don't know how your skin is going to react to these ingredients in their products. I mean, if it's an emergency, go buy some stuff and try to see if there's a worker in the store that might understand English, or if you know somebody in your travel group that speaks the language, like ask them like if this is good, or would I be able to take this, or do you think I'll have any side effects? I mean, like I said, they can't even answer because they're not like a medical professional, but necessarily they might be a doctor, I don't know. But if they're not, I mean, they're just going to be trying to go off what the package says. So see how this is already like, that's why you should just try and bring it yourself. So have your first aid kit, stomach medicine, like I said, you gotta have the Pepto-Bismol and the Imodium just in case you eat something that goes wrong. Headache medicine, just because who wants to have a headache on vacation. And any kind of soap, lotions, toothpaste, all that stuff, just make sure you bring it with you, because like I said, packaging from an international country might not be in English. Now, if you're going to a country where it's like Australia or like London, the UK, or some place like that, then the instructions would be in English. So then it's like, okay, you can try it out, see what happens. But if you don't know the language, like I said, that barrier is just going to make it that much harder to try to take medication or use a skincare product from someplace else. My next tip is don't get crazy. A lot of people go on vacation and just do things and throw whim to the side and don't necessarily, well, throw caution to the side is what I should say. But you don't want to get into a bad situation in another country. Like, yes, you want to have fun, you want to have a good time, but you have to be mindful of their customs and how things work in their country the same way that you are here. So don't get crazy, have fun, but just be mindful of where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, and of your surroundings. My next thing I would say is, goes back to the first point about research. Look up vendors and hotels. So there's going to be a lot of tour buses, scuba diving companies, Airbnb versus hotel, all these different things that you're going to want to know, and you need to read reviews. The reason why you need to read reviews is not just because it'll say, oh, this is a good tour bus company, this is a bad tour bus company. The review might tell you, actually, this is a great tour if you get on at this stop and buy your ticket here at this time because it's the lowest price and the bus is great. But if you buy a ticket from the same company and do this, this, and this, then you'll have a bad experience. And people put all this information in the reviews. Like, all of it. They explain where to get online, what time to get there, and what rooms are the best. There's some hotels where it's like, all the rooms are great except for these rooms right here because they align with the furnace and you're going to hear it knocking all night. And it's like, you want to know this information. You're going on an international trip. You've done all this planning, all this preparation. You want to have fun. Definitely look into these reviews. After looking into the reviews, my next tip is going to be, don't just visit tourist attractions. Yes, you can't go to Paris without going to the Eiffel Tower, but also Paris is a whole city with a whole bunch of different neighborhoods. The Latin Quarter neighborhood is super cool. Definitely you want to get out. You want to visit different places and see different things. Yes, like I said, a part of your trip should be going to the tourist spots, going to the history, learning about the culture and stuff like that. But then also just look up fun things to go in the city. Art installations, street markets, fashion events like food tasting, pop-up restaurants, all different kinds of things are happening all over the world. And if you happen to be visiting a new city, why not see what the locals do? And I mean, still follow the don't get crazy rule, be safe, and don't go someplace where it's like red flag and then stay there. If you feel that way, then get out. But definitely go around and see different things. So try different things, and really don't just stay in the tourist area. Try to branch out a little bit and maybe go off the beaten path. My last thing is, try to visit more than one place. So a lot of the United States is just huge, and it like takes up all the space, and that's just one thing. But a lot of other countries are close to other countries, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? Like, they're smaller, so they have like another country bordering them. See if you can visit more than one place. And if you do go to a big country like the United States where it's like huge and there's so many places, see if there's a way for you to visit multiple places. So like, take a bus ride, take a train, maybe if there's like a regional flight that's affordable, or even if it's not affordable, if you plan for it in advance, still make it happen. So definitely try to visit multiple places. That way when you say, oh yeah, I went to whatever country, oh, but I didn't just go here, I went here, here, and here. So an example, when I went to the UK, yes, we went to London, we stayed in London, but we also went to Bath and to Windsor, just so we could like see, first of all, I want to see Windsor Castle where they, the Hay Royals, and also Bath was super cool, seeing like the Roman baths and all the ancient architecture in the little square with like the pebble streets like the back in the day. So that was super cool. So definitely try to visit other cities than just the place where you're going, other regions. Different parts of the country are known for different things. Another example, when I went to Panama, yes, we went to Panama City, which is like the city part, kind of like a cosmopolitan skyscrapers, all kinds of stuff, even though they do also have like the traditional old town. But then we went to Boca del Toro, which is like the kind of like a islandy kind of vibe. So it was like sandy streets and beaches and like just amazing everything, like fresh seafood just caught up the ocean. Like, ugh, take me back to Panama. But and in addition to that, then we went to Boquete, which was like the mountainous region where they had all the world's best coffee, and you got to actually go on like the coffee plantations and see like the beans and their different states and how they grow, and then the process of making them and roasting them. And that was super cool too. So had I just went to Panama City and stayed in Panama City, I wouldn't be able to have all those other experiences. So that is why I just want to caution or stress to you that try to see if you can be able to add another like little day trip or see another city than just the one you flew into. Okay. So I hope all those tips were helpful. I know that was a lot. So feel free to save this video as one of your favorites. That way you can always go back to it and watch it, get different tips and ideas. I personally feel like traveling internationally is like one of the best experiences that I've ever had, seeing the world and seeing how other people live. I do understand that if you haven't traveled internationally, there's that fear of what's going to happen, is it going to be okay? But guess what? Hundreds of millions of thousands of quadrillions of people go to other countries every day, have amazing experiences, and come back home safe. So I definitely want to urge you to step outside of your box. The fact that you even search this video term means that you're on the track to planning that trip. So have great adventures. Leave in the comments below if you have any more specific questions about first time international travel, and stay tuned for more travel videos coming to my channel. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.